Welcome to Myers Metal Detectors, located in sunny Tampa, Florida, where we sell nothing but fun and adventures, treasure hunting gear, and anything you can imagine for metal detecting. Give us a call, 813-237-1939. Happy hunting and dig deeper.
Live from sunny Florida, it's Treasure Talk.
Welcome, folks.
Welcome indeed. Welcome indeed.
Welcome to another exciting edition of Treasure Talk.
It will be. It will be. I see Big Poppy's in the house.
All right. Well, I'm trying to pull up my YouTube here, Jeff, and for some reason, I just have all kinds of trouble finding us. I know we're there.
We're there. We're there.
Yeah, Jocelyn's looking at it, but
Yeah.
it always, I guess it's because I have two different browsers. I've got Google open and also the Mac browser Safari. So that's probably what it is.
Yeah, probably.
And
probably. That's probably it. Yeah.
am I getting feedback now?
I don't hear any feedback.
Okay, good. Awesome. All righty. So I guess I ought to get started.
Yes.
All right, friend.
Before we get started, a little birdie told me that somebody that's very near and dear to us just had a real good day, didn't they?
Me? Are we talking about me?
No.
About Jocelyn?
No.
Who are we talking about? Pardon me?
Big Poppy?
Oh, yeah, he got a promotion at his job for sure. Big promotion, because he's Mr. Sales anyway.
I think it's wonderful. I think everybody ought to, job well done, Big Poppy.
Oh, yeah, he's Mr. Sales for sure.
Well, he deserves everything he gets. I tell you what, he works hard for those people.
Yes, he does. He really does.
He does.
And he's a good hunter, too, so... Sometimes he schools me in the detecting, but it's friendly competition. That's the cool thing about our hobby is you can compete with each other when you're out metal detecting. So we got to do that again soon, Joe, for sure.
Yeah, just make sure that we got to discuss something, Big Poppy. It's very important too.
Okay, yes, we'll do that at a later date for sure.
Right.
All righty. Well, I guess I better get started.
That's right.
Today's show was brought to you by your friends at Myers Metal Detectors, where we sell fun and adventure. And of course, the views, thoughts, and opinions expressed here by the Treasure Talk members and guests belong solely to the member and guest, and not necessarily to Phil Myers, Jocelyn Myers, Myers Metal Detectors, or Jeff Monin. That's a lot to say.
I know.
But you can't talk to my phone, Joss. I hear her over there talking to the phone when she's reading it. It won't type it for you. All righty. And of course, the purpose of Treasure Talk is to promote the hobby of metal detecting and treasure hunting, and that's all forms of treasure hunting too. Is we're going to have a cool one here tonight, and also to educate our members in a fun, informative manner. And that's what we aim to do.
Yes,
before we bring our guests on, I wanted to thank everyone who came to the shop on Saturday. We had Captain Fizz there for a book signing. And boy, that was a lot of fun. Saw some faces I hadn't seen in a while, and it just was a cool time. And Captain Fizz is just awesome. He is a living legend, and he's got all the stories to prove it. And he'll tell you, and some of them are actually true.
Yes, he does. And plus, there'll be a special of Treasure Tales. It's not happening for a while yet. It's going to be in April of next year. A lot of y'all remember the last time we did our Sebastian Treasure Tales trip when we had Terry Shannon and Captain Fizz on at the same time, and for Treasure Tales. And it's going to be even better this time, because what we've got in store for you is Terry's going to be back, Captain Fizz is going to be back, Sid and KT Jones from Atosha Treasure Adventures is going to be there, as well as Mark Littleton. So it's going to be a treasure trove of treasure stories on Treasure Tales, April 13th. So I'm going to keep reminding you, just mark it on your calendar. Do not miss that show.
That's good, Jeff. That sounds like a tongue twister. A treasure trove of treasure tales on Treasure Tales.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I did it with that. And see, my consumption is only water.
That's all I've had today too is water. I didn't even make dinner yet, so I might be a little jumpy tonight.
That's all right.
But I just did want to mention, of course, the Blue Nemo or the Blue Nomad recall. If you guys had a Nomad, make sure you contact Blue 3, the manufacturer, on that, because there was a small problem with that. Safety first, so check on that. And then also from last week's show, I want to remind folks that I am getting the unit probes in from Carter, probably within, I would think, within 4 or 5 days. So if you want to check them out, stop in the shop, or of course, I'll probably do a video on them too.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, we got a lot of good stuff coming up, but I think it's probably time we better get after it, don't you think?
Yes, we should.
Now, everybody, and sometime during this show tonight, and we don't know when, only I know when, we're going to give something away, but we don't know exactly when, so be prepared at any time. But our guest tonight, he's been with us before, and he was such a hit that we wanted to have him back. And his products are stocked at Myers Metal Detectors. Like we always say, if Phil don't stock it, you don't need it. This guy is a fantastic individual, got a fantastic company, and makes great, great products from Brute Magnetics. Let's welcome Clay Copeland. Hi, Clay.
Hey, good evening, guys.
Hey,
How are
welcome.
you doing?
I'm doing excellent. Excellent. How about you?
Awesome. And I just want to remind folks, if you have questions for Clay, just be sure to type them on the chat there on YouTube, and either Jeff or Jocelyn will get them, and we'll get them asked and answered real quick.
And we'll probably, if you type it in and I see it in time, we'll pop it up on the screen so Clay can see exactly who is asking it.
All right. Well, let me just show the folks. This is the I hope this is the small kit. I think this is the 1200. So
Looks like it.
yes, I'm gonna show them. And this is basically the kit of somebody just getting started in this, correct?
Right. Yeah. That would be, if it's the 1200, it's probably a good intermediate kit. Beginners could start there. Yeah, that's a double sided. That may be the 1700 double sided.
I might have picked up the wrong box. But,
Yeah. The boxes all look fairly similar. You'd have to look at the outer carton to be sure, but it may be the 1700, which is a good starting point. If somebody's looking for a double-sided magnet, that's what I would recommend.
And it comes with the magnet, the rope, what do you call that piece there?
The carabiner. Yeah, that's a steel locking carabiner. Then it'll come with the thread locker, of course.
Yeah,
to keep that eyelet from backing out, and then the case itself.
The thread locker, and you can't forget about the gloves.
Oh, right. The cut resistant gloves. Always want to be sure to use the cut resistant. You never know what objects you may pull out, fish hooks or rusted, who knows what, barbed wire. Or we've seen it all.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm looking for my other box around here. I had one. I brought two in here, and I can't believe I misplaced my magnet. Might have to get a magnet to find it.
That'll do it. Then the problem will be getting them unstuck once you found it.
Yes, I'm not going to put those together because my friend who I was telling you earlier was using his magnet, and he said he had it in his 5-gallon bucket and was walking by the railing. And he said it took him a while because the bucket got smacked against the railing to get it off of the railing.
Mm-hmm.
His bucket was stuck there perfectly.
Yeah, it will happen. Yeah, he's lucky he at least had the bucket between the magnet and the railing.
Yes, not his finger. Oh my goodness!
Yeah, that's that's one thing you've got to keep your finger off of the face of the magnet, especially as you're moving it around.
Okay, and it looks like Jeff, you got a question there already. That's pretty
Yes,
good.
we do.
That's
From
from-
Chuck Martin.
Yeah, Chuck.
What is Yep. What is the best magnet to throw out in the Gulf and drag back in?
That's a good question, and it's one we get fairly often. And in fact, we just put up a quiz that will kind of guide you through and make a recommendation of the type of magnet we would suggest based on where you're going to use it and your experience level. But if you're throwing and dragging, the double-sided are usually a little bit better. Or if you're a little more experienced, the 360 magnets, they're more expensive, but they will grab and hold really well. The thing to be aware of, obviously, salt water is going to be corrosive on any metal. You know, our casings are all triple coated. The magnet faces are all triple coated with a copper nickel, but that will get scratched eventually. So you want to be sure to rinse it off if you're in a saltwater environment. But I would look at maybe the 1700 or 2400 double-sided magnets if you're just new to it, or if you've been around for a while and you want to upgrade to something, maybe look at the 360 magnets.
Yeah, because I think it'd be a good idea. You know, some of the shallower reefs that are out there, no telling what you can pull up off that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's that looks like the 1200-pound single-sided magnet.
Yes, I did bring both of the cases over, and my wife says, "Oh, I don't think I could pick that up." So I went and grabbed it. That's why you saw me disappear for a moment. But this would be, I would say, a good starter magnet for somebody to get going with, don't you think?
Yeah, that's a great one. In fact, that's kind of my daily driver. I still use that exact magnet most of the time. If I'm in a new area, I may use a 360, but that's my favorite. I'm more of a drop and kind of jig it back rather than throw and drag kind of guy. I'm usually up on bridges, but that is a great one to start with for sure.
Yeah, and for the folks on Facebook, I did post on Treasure Talk the pictures of the guy's gun and bike that he pulled out of the river here in Tampa. Just I could tell where it was at because of the bridge. I recognized the bridge was in my neighborhood. And that is so cool to be able to pull that stuff out of the water. One, to make the water safer for other people or for boating. Imagine hitting a bicycle with your boat. Wouldn't be a good day if it caught it in the motor.
Mm-hmm.
So the maintenance on these, I know you talked a little bit about it.
Yeah.
So
obviously rinsing with fresh water, if you're using it in salt, is top priority. Then drying it off thoroughly. Like any metal, if you put it up wet, especially in our cases, which are airtight and waterproof, if you put it up wet, it's going to stay wet for a long time, and that will lead to corrosion. So just being sure to make sure that it's absolutely dry before you put it away. We see a lot of people coat their magnets, something like a fluid film or petroleum-based lubricant or jelly would help to repel some of that water, especially down in the casing itself. Or if you get scratches, that's a good maintenance tip. You can coat your magnets. We've seen a lot of people add different coatings, everything from like a Plastidip to a paint formulated for metal. That's fine. You just have to be aware. You don't really want to build it up on the face of the magnet. Any kind of gap that you introduce is going to reduce the strength. So you use a Plastidip to put an additional layer on. Just don't put it on the face of the magnet.
How about things like WD-40 and stuff like that?
WD-40 works. We see a lot of people use that. That's something that pretty much everyone has. Anything like that, if you're going to store it long term, especially, it's great to put some type of coating on it. It's obviously messy, but it sure beats magnet that's started to deteriorate. And it obviously takes a long time. It's a solid piece of metal, but it can happen. So yeah, WD-40 or anything like that you have, certainly.
Yeah,
it's okay.
that would put a film on it and keep it looking pretty for a long time, I imagine.
Yeah. And obviously you want to, it'll collect a lot of magnetic sand and other little iron filings and bits. You want to try to wipe those off if you can. Just using a gloved hand will get most of it, or a rag. with some speed, will fling that right off.
So Jeff, are you adding a question to the screen or should I ask it?
Do you have it?
Yeah, I can see one here. And this one is from Surfside Dan, and he's asking what's the best cord to use with the magnet?
So all of our cord is a double braided polyester rope. We've done a lot of testing. We tested some polypropylene and some nylons and some other tests. And what we found is the polyester offers the greatest mix of strength to weight, and then to how it feels. Obviously, it dries out pretty quickly. Just leave it in the sun. So we like the polyester. You can use anything as long as it's rated greater than the strength of the magnet. Obviously, the worst thing would be to get it stuck to some really heavy object that's going to require hundreds of pounds of force, and you go to winch on it and the rope snaps. So all of our kits will come with a rope that has a breaking strength that exceeds the magnet. But really any kind. We see some people use wire rope and you name it, but the big thing is the breaking strength of the rope.
Yeah, so this is the one you want to use. This is the best one.
Yeah. Now we have a question up on the screen from Dick Nook. The best technique to unstick a stuck magnet.
Well, that's a good question. That's another one that we get frequently, and it really depends on how it's stuck and if you can access it and what it's stuck to. But generally, if it's stuck out in the water, the worst thing is to start pulling on it really hard, right? You want to see if it's hung up or if it's truly stuck to an object. Pulling at an angle is your best bet if it's out in the water. Oftentimes, if you can pull at an angle and it's wedged in some rocks or a tree limb or something, that will break it free. If you pulled from different directions, you walked up and down the bridge or wherever you are and exhausted those options, then you want to start pulling hard. But in reality, there are times when it's going to get really hung up and you may have to use some mechanical force. Don't like to do that, obviously. It can damage the rope, but if the alternative is the magnet staying there, then you may have to do that. I've gone in the water before, so I usually come prepared if it's something I really want to make sure.
Yes.
You do it, be prepared to go in. If it's just stuck to another magnet, which is also another fairly common thing if you have multiple, we use a 2x4 at the warehouse. If we have two stuck, we'll just anchor one against a table edge or something solid, and then two of us will push down with a 2x4 to get some leverage on it, and that'll slide them apart. You are not going to be able to pull them directly apart. You're going to have to slide it. Sliding takes about 70% less force to remove. So that's another thing to keep in mind as you're pulling in objects. If you're pulling at an angle across them and the magnet is sliding, it's going to reduce the strength of the magnet. But that's going to be the key, is to try slide across a heavy object. There'll be times when you'll get stuck to something, you'll get it out of the water and it's really difficult. We've taken pieces of wood, put them on the edge of the magnet and tap the wood with a hammer just to get it to slide off. And if you get it on the right metal, usually a 1/2 inch thick kind of flat steel, it can be a challenge to get off. And that's one of the realities of magnet fishing is there's no on and off switch. So if it's stuck, you're going to be working for it.
Okay. I see a bunch of questions here, Jeff. The one is from Moose in New York. His nickname is Moose Ninny. No, it's Moose in New York. And he's asking, does the magnet lose its magnetic strength over time?
No. The short answer is no. There's only a couple things that can demagnetize a magnet. There's a couple of white papers that we've seen, some scientific research that's been done. And essentially, a neodymium magnet without any outside influence on it will lose about 1% of its strength over a 100-year period. So when we say it's a permanent magnet, it's truly a permanent magnet. It's not something that you can demagnetize without effort. What can demagnetize it, though, is high heat. That's the number one that we see. If you get above around 165, 170 degrees Fahrenheit, it will demagnetize, or it will begin to weaken, and then around 185, it completely demagnetizes, and you cannot recover. There's one that we've never actually seen is is a higher magnetic field of opposite polarity will cause some demagnetization, but that's not something you encounter. So heat is really the number one factor. Don't put a heat gun to it. If you coated it, don't go trying to dry it or, stick it in an oven or something because it will demagnetize. But just sitting in your case, it's not going to demagnetize.
Awesome.
Okay, we got another question up on the screen from John David. He says, does the magnet strip your credit card?
It can. So we've actually sold quite a few magnets to computer repair shops to wipe old hard drives. I think that technology and the shielding has come a long way in electronics, but still you want to keep it away from any kind of sensitive electronics, at least a couple feet. If you've got your metal detector with you, just be sure to keep that some distance away. Or pacemakers are another big one. There's really not any safe distance if you have a pacemaker, so it's better just to watch. But certainly it could demagnetize or could strip your credit card. Now, I will say that I have been around magnets for years and years and had them, had my wallet out, and I've never had any issues, but it's not to say it couldn't happen.
Cool. There's another one on the screen from Joe Vizzi, Big Poppy. He wants to know what's the magnet number on the double-sided one?
So the double-sided one that Phil was showing earlier, that SKU should be the 94DS-case. That's the 1700 double-sided magnet. We offer that style in, I believe, 6 sizes. I'm not sure how many Phil has, at least a couple, I'm sure.
Yes, I should have them in stock.
Okay. Yeah, we have it from small beginner double-sided up to really heavy 10+ pound that'll lift a couple thousand pounds per side. But that one specifically was the 1700.
Okay. Hey, I see one question here. How many magnets have you lost?
So, of course, I go magnet fishing probably more than the average person. I think in the last 6 years, I've lost probably 5 magnets. And some of them I could have retrieved, but, it had been a long day and it was one that I had beat up and had used for a long time. And I probably didn't try as hard as I should to recover it. But yeah, I'd say 5 over that 6-year span.
Okay. Well, that doesn't seem like a whole lot of them, and they're relatively inexpensive, I think.
Yeah, the key is knowing where you go. One of the worst things you can do is roll up to a new spot and take your magnet and just chunk it out 50 feet. Right, you have no idea what's on the bottom. Around here we have large rocks. If there's 2-3 foot boulders in there, and I pull it and wedge it between it, I'm gonna have to go in for it, right? Or pull from the other direction. And
Right.
So what we always recommend is when you're at a new spot, keep it close to you. Try to figure out what's on the bottom. Obviously, smooth clay or sandy bottom, you're not going to have the issues that you would in a rocky area. Rocky areas pose a lot of challenges, and that's where we see most lost magnets. So it's one of those things that, be aware of what's on the bottom. And if it's rocky, you may just want to move on somewhere else or somewhere with smaller rocks.
This one is from Surfside Dan, and he's asking, what knot do you use to attach your magnet?
So I actually don't tie the rope directly to it. I use the carabiner so I can quick disconnect and put it away in the case. Yeah, right there. That way I don't have to be worried about tying it. We do recommend Palomar knot, and I think we actually have some instructions on the website of a couple recommended knots and instructions on how to tie those. You can tie it. Of course, the other end of the rope is loose, and you can tie that off and use the carabiner end just to anchor onto something. But for most people, if you're not comfortable tying it, just use that carabiner.
Yeah, this is the best way to do it here. So, and of course, it comes with the kit. It's already there in the kit, so
That's right.
easy peasy, for sure. All righty.
Okay, you got any more questions over there, Philip?
No, I don't see. If you have questions, be sure to type them out because Jocelyn or Jeff will get them, and hopefully we'll post them on there. But we're giving away one of these tonight, aren't we, Jeff?
Yes, we are indeed. We are indeed. We'll do that, and I don't know when, but you know what? It might be a good time for a word from our sponsor.
Oh, cool. That's perfect. Because I haven't. Then I've got a couple comments when we get back. All right.
Okay.
Hey folks, Phil Myers here from Myers Metal Detectors. And today I'm going to show you some excellent Christmas gifts. I got my Christmas hat on and I'm going to show you the Brute magnets. These are the 1,200 and the 1,700 pound kits. We do have the 2,600 pound and we've got the Dock Buster weight. We've got anything you could imagine for magnet fishing. We've got it. And look at the kit. It comes with everything you need. It comes with the gloves. It comes with the sealer. It comes with the magnet, it even comes with the rope, so you're set to go magnet fishing. Give me a call, 813-237-1939, and I got a special guest to jump in the video with me today, Captain Carl Fismer, the living legend. And look, he's holding up the Myers Metal Detector calendar, and you'll get one of those free with every purchase. So give me a call, you have any metal detector related questions or dirt digging questions, or if you want to book the captain on a speaking engagement, I'll send you his information. Phil Myers, Myers Metal Detectors, and Captain Carl Fismer. Look at the camera, Captain, and say, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Thanks for bringing me in, Phil.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. That was the world famous Captain Carl Fismer. I got him in the shot. I couldn't believe that. That's great. Hey, so I guess we better get going on this. Let's see here. I had three. Oh, the length of the rope. We had a question on the length of the rope. That's all.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
So no, the standard one in most of the kits is a 65-foot length, and what we found is if you're tossing it out, that's about the extent of what makes sense for most people. If you're up on a high bridge, we offer longer lengths. We have 100-foot. But I actually never used the 100-foot or never felt like I needed it. But 65 is what is in all of the kits.
Yeah, and with that magnet, those aren't light, so I think 65 would probably do unless you were just dropping it down.
I would be impressed to see someone throw a 10-pound magnet 100 feet and use up the rope.
Then they could join the shot put team.
That's right.
The Olympics, some of those are really like the Dock Buster. Some of them are real heavy, and I don't think I could throw them very far. I think you could drop them really easy.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the Dock Buster's really made for, isn't it, Clay? Just
exactly.
Around a dock and lowering it down and not really having to throw it out much.
Exactly. That one is really not intended to throw at all. It is strictly for dropping straight down. It's 7-inch diameter, so think maybe a little smaller than a dinner plate, and it is heavy, like Phil mentioned, and so it's intended just to drop straight down at a dock and walk along, jigging it up and down. You cover a lot of territory that way.
Mm-hmm.
There's better options for throwing and dragging back.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Mm-hmm.
And I imagine if you were in like boat marinas, you would find a lot of tools and stuff that drops in the water. You could probably find quite a few tools. And also in boat ramps, that would be good for that too.
You can find a
lot of tools, lures, sunglasses. You name it around marinas, we see everything coming up.
So 65 foot for the rope is the best size, you think?
Yeah, it really depends on what you're doing. Like I mentioned, I've done it for years and I've never used a longer rope. And there's maybe one or two times where I've been up on a high bridge and I thought, well, I could use a little bit longer rope. But, most of the things you're going to find are going to be fairly close off the edge of a bridge or dock. They're not going to be 100 foot out. So, in our experience, that's been sufficient. But of course, there may be times where you want a little bit longer.
Okay, well, this one is from Uni Beach, and he or she is saying, is there a technique to throw it out?
So everyone has their own technique. I can tell you what I do. Because I'm trying not to throw my shoulder out or something. I will grab I use the carabiner to attach. So I'll just put my finger at the end of the carabiner do an underhand toss, get a good swing, and then use that carabiner to get a little bit of extra oomph there at the end, and just toss it straight out underhand style. You don't want to throw it like a baseball, and I mean, some of them are very heavy, but that'll usually get you out far enough that you'll be able to find whatever's close in at least.
Yeah, and one of the ladies here commented, "Don't think I could handle the weight of the big magnet."
Yeah.
That's the cool thing about having an actual physical store. You could come in and pick the magnet up. And
we see a lot of people that get a magnet and don't really realize how heavy it's going to be. I mean, it's a solid piece of metal, and we have them ranging in size from about 1 pound up to close to 11 pounds. So there's definitely a size for everyone. But like you say, Phil, being able to go in person and feel it makes a huge difference.
yeah, that's what's made my shop very successful is the people can come in and actually pick it up, feel it, and say, "Oh, I want the next size bigger than this." We're located in sunny Tampa, Florida. My wife's saying, "Where the shop's at?" We're in sunny Tampa, Florida, and you can see my phone number in the background. And of course, it's everywhere.
That's right. 813-237-1939. If Phil don't have it in stock, you don't need it. And Ricky T wants to know, are you hunting in running water or still water?
That's a good question.
That is a good question. Both is the short answer. Generally, I'm in still water. We've been down to the Tennessee River. There's quite a current, and you have to treat it a little bit differently when the water's running. It will get pulled down, with the current a little bit. Obviously, the heavier magnets do a little better because they'll sink faster, and they are not as affected by the current. So if you're going to be in an area with a really strong current, you want a heavier magnet, and it makes it obviously harder, easier to lose things. If you're on a big object and trying to pull up against the current, you can drop off a little easier, but either one is perfectly fine. Just around here, there's a little more still water.
Okay, I've got a good question here, and I think I know the answer. And Chuck Martin's asking, does the magnet kit come with a manual suggesting different techniques on how to use the magnet?
So there is an insert card. In all honesty, it doesn't get into very much detail on technique. It provides a few tips. On our website, though, there's a complete guide. There's FAQs, and then there's kind of a beginner's guide that walks through a bunch of the things that you need to know. So that's probably the best place if you want to just read up on techniques. And then obviously YouTube is a great resource. There's tons of magnet fishing videos. There's videos on how to get started. We've had a few customers put videos up on how to get unstuck. So there's a lot of great content out there if you'd rather watch someone do it.
So Clay,
I got a point I want to raise here, Clay. You do have some staff magnet fishers, do you not, that have YouTube channels?
There are a lot of affiliates and people that just use our stuff and love it, that have made many videos. If you go to YouTube and search Brute Magnetics, you'll find a ton of videos. Probably every magnet that we offer is somewhere represented. But we do, everyone on staff, even the people who do customer service, have all magnet fished and are aware, the at least the basics, if not, being more advanced on it. But absolutely, if you call us up or call Phil, you can get us, get in touch with an expert that can answer your questions for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few. I watch a number of them. I watch Gals Out West.
Mm-hmm.
There are two gals that live in Arizona that are all the time magnet fishing, and there's a whole bunch of them out there.
Yeah.
And they put videos out.
Yeah, the Fisher J3B up in Canada. There's a lot on YouTube. Yeah, just search Brute Magnetics and you'll find a bunch.
So Clay, on your website, do you have a manual that you could download and print?
It's just listed out as a web page. I don't think it's on there as a PDF or anything. That's a great idea, though. Something we should put on that's downloadable. And we've thought about printing it out as a little booklet and including, and that's something we've kicked around and improved on the content, and just really need to do that. But it is on the website. Of course, I guess you could print it out or download the web page, but not
Yeah.
as a PDF right now.
Yeah, because if it's got valuable information, maybe I should print that out and hand it to the
Yeah.
customer when they come in.
Yeah, it's everything you need to know. You know how to find a place to go and techniques and tying a knot if you choose to do that, and how to get it unstuck. It covers all of that. It's several pages of information on
Yeah.
everything you need to know.
And we do have a comment I popped up on the screen. Would you care to take that one, Phil?
You can call the guru himself. I feel like I'm talking to a celebrity when I get Phil on the phone. I'm YouTube famous. There you go. A celebrity. That's funny. But yeah, I think if the manual information, if it's on there on a few pages, I'll probably end up printing that off and stick it in the kit when the people
Yeah.
buy that.
Yeah, it's on the buying guide, the tips and tricks section. Yeah, there's even a little video and just some other information in there.
Yeah, because it's so much easier when you have a book.
Yeah.
A lot of the detector companies will put a manual in the box. Some of them don't, and it's always easier if you've got the manual. You can see that.
Mm-hmm. When we wrote it, that was the intention, is to print it up, and then we just kept revising it and adding, and just haven't gotten around to the printing it up stage. There is, though, an insert card with each magnet that gives you the very high level basics, some really critical tips of things you need to do. But one is obviously using that thread locker. That if you do not use a thread locker, I can guarantee that the eyelet will eventually back out. Magnet fishing and pulling it back's abusive. That magnet hits rocks, and as you pull it back in, it'll move around, and it can become unscrewed and that eyelet fall off. So
Cool.
be sure to use that thread locker and let it set up long enough.
Okay. How long does it take to set up?
We say 24 hours. Really, overnight is best, and it needs to be inside. We have seen times where people left it out in the garage where it's humid and didn't fully cure. But overnight inside, it'll set up and be hard. And then
Okay.
once it's set up, you're good.
Awesome. Well, William Crow is asking, is it illegal to magnet fish from bridges?
So the short answer is, in most places, it is not illegal. Obviously, there may be local jurisdictions and municipalities that have different rules, so you'll want to check with your local, laws. But generally speaking, bridges, as long as you're in a safe area, the police, I can guarantee the police will come along if you're on the side of a busy highway on a bridge and creating a danger for yourself. But there's been very few times that we've seen people run off of bridges, being on a public road.
And that brings up a question. Is there any places that it's illegal to magnet fish?
Yes. So South Carolina apparently has some pretty restrictive statewide laws. Now, I've never heard of anyone in South Carolina actually, being stopped. I'm sure it's happened. And I honestly don't know the genesis of what those laws were or why they're on the books. But that's the only, and beyond obviously doing it on federal property or on a military base or something like that, there's not any blanket restrictions that we've seen. But again, there's so many municipalities and it varies from state to state. So be sure to check your local, laws before.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And it looks like Jeff's got a question up.
Yeah, from Moose in New York. He wants to know about the warranty.
Yeah. So all of our magnets, there is a 30-day. We'll take it back and give you your money back. Beyond that, if it's normal wear and tear, we won't cover it. If there's something extraordinary, manufacturing defect, we'll obviously take care of that. And we purposely don't put an end date on that. Neodymium magnets are fragile and they can be prone to breaking. If you're in a really rocky area, we offer some fully cased magnets. That's our anti-collision and anti-corrosion magnets. Those are great, if you're in an area where you may be prone to hitting rocks. But beyond manufacturing defects, which we obviously will cover, we've covered stuff out 6 months, a year even, if there's an issue that was on our end. But generally, we'll take it back within 30 days.
Okay. Well, this is a comment from Ricky T. Rick Tumbleson. He said the most important thing is like in all treasure hunting, if you find a bunch of garbage, don't throw it back off the bridge. Dispose of it responsibly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
to carry that just a little further, we were talking about when the police come along and they run people off the bridges. That's what the bucket you got's there for. If you start throwing your trash out on the street, on the bridge that you're pulling off, yeah, they're going to probably run you off. So
Mhm.
that's why you bring that 5-gallon bucket, isn't it, Clay?
Right, exactly. It's like metal detecting and not filling your holes, right? If everybody leaves their trash there, it's going to get shut down for everyone, right? A few bad actors are going to spoil it for all of us. So absolutely, if you pull it out, we say if you pull it out, it is yours and it is your responsibility to dispose of it. And you will find things that are obviously trash, and even a day where you're finding trash, you're cleaning up the river. So have a bucket or something with you to haul that out. Find a garbage can if it's something that will fit and is safe to put in there.
That's good housekeeping.
Yeah, I would think that getting any of that metal out of the water is good for the environment. I know some people want to get rid of the lead fishing weights and use different types of metal because of the lead being in the water. But yeah, I just remove all the trash wherever you're at. I think it's just a good steward over this world that we have.
Absolutely.
And it looks like Jeff's running a banner there.
Yes, I am. I think it's time to give something away. What do you think, Clay?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Now, Phil, you want to hold it up?
It is.
Phil will do the best Vanna White possible, and he's got to do it because Jocelyn won't come on camera, and she's the perfect Vanna.
Yeah, she wouldn't do it. But
She ain't gonna do it. She ain't coming on camera.
So I have to do it. So it's this kit here, right?
The 1,200 pound.
Yes, it
1,200
is that.
pound, yes.
It is that kit. Yeah, absolutely.
And this is all you need to get started. Magnet fishing. It's got the
Yep.
weight, the gloves, the rope, the carabiner, the sealer. It's everything. So somebody's going to be a lucky magnet fisher tonight.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And as always, you have to be a member of Treasure Talk YouTube to enter our giveaways. And you have to be watching to be able to win the prize. Because once I call the name, you'll have 3 minutes to text me. And my phone number is scrolling along the bottom of the screen. And you must text me with your name and that you are here. If you fail to text me within 3 minutes, I'll just go on to the next name. And they will be the winner. Then
You'll be happy.
Is you must email with your name, address, and phone number to treasuretalkshow@gmail.com. That way I can forward it on to Clay and he can get your magnet right out to you. And he does that in a most expeditious manner. So when you had to enter, you have to there again, like I said, you have to be a member and you have to use a phrase to enter with. And that phrase was brute means strength. So get your fingers ready because we got the winner right here. And you've got 3 minutes to text me. And the winner is Bajira. Bajira. If you are watching, you won a magnet, my friend. So you got 3 minutes.
And that is the perfect size magnet because I think Jocelyn could throw that. It's the perfect size. I can tell by the weight of the case.
It's light.
It's not too heavy.
Yeah, that one's about 4 pounds.
4 pounds. You
Oh,
drop
that's
it right off of the fishing pier. You can find fishing rods with it, reels, and all kinds of cool stuff.
And we got some comments going on in the you want to know about South Carolina, I guess, is not available. And Surfside Dan tells Gene P. he will check with the DNR to find out. And no, Gene, that does not mean do not resuscitate. That's not what it means. Thank you.
Okay.
Just thought I threw that out there. Just giving Gene P. a little dig there.
She said, I've got a great bridge to magnet fish from a mile from me.
Yep.
Would have to go with a magnet less than 3 pounds. Got to remember my math symbols.
Less than 3 pounds on a bridge, I would go the 1,000-pound single-sided. It's
1,000 pounds.
just under 2 pounds, and it's about a 3.5 inch diameter. That'd be a great one. If you want a double sided under 3 pounds, you're going to have to go pretty small because they're very thick. You have to go with the I think it's the 1,200 pound. That would be right at 3 pounds. So the 1,200 pound double sided or the 1,000 pound single sided.
Yeah. Well, the kit tonight, did we get a winner, Jeff?
We did.
Oh, awesome.
Now
That's
we just
cool.
got to do the email.
They just got to do the email and they're done. And
Yeah.
also, Gene P said, I'm going to get down there to the shop next year, I hope. I hope you do too, Gene P. We got some bigger magnets. Just do some weightlifting and you can throw the big magnets.
That's right.
Oh,
We'll get
that's
her out there, and if you fall off the bridge, we'll throw a magnet after you, you know.
That's Lewis Hill.
Yeah, Louis Villaro is asking, and I think I know the answer to this. Do the magnets repel each other? Do you need to keep them apart?
They will only repel in very specific alignment. So, we have North Pole and South Pole, and opposites attract. So what you have is if you have two magnets facing each other, the bottoms, what they'll do is repel directly, but if you ever so slightly offset it, they're going to suck into each other, and then you're going to have a really difficult time. So the way ours are magnetized, they're magnetized axially, so you have a north face and a south face. When we set them in the casing, what it effectively does is redirect that magnetic field, and you end up with a north pole and a south pole on the same side, which is why, if you're facing them, they will repel, but then ever so slightly offset, they will attract. So it's kind of an interesting way of how it changes as we, put it in that steel casing. But yeah, if you get them anywhere near each other, they will get stuck together. And I can tell you, we have magnets in the warehouse that we got stuck probably 2 years ago that we have yet to get around to trying to get unstuck, because it is sometimes not easy on the big magnets.
I would think not.
Yeah, you need some big people to get them apart.
Big people, absolutely.
Yes.
So, what's the best thing you ever found magnet fishing, Clay?
So for me personally, it was a parrot shell, Civil War parrot shell, which we've seen a handful of shells come up if that's your thing, relic hunting. There's a few things that you can find, but for me personally, we're in North Georgia, so a lot of that kind of activity around here. But beyond that, I still have not found a gun, believe it or not. That's, for a lot of people, that's the one thing they want to find, but I have not found a gun yet. So still on my bucket list.
You're probably in a good neighborhood then.
I guess so, or maybe somebody's beating me to it. And I know a couple local guys that have found guns, so I think they're around, but just not for me yet.
Now, that parrot shell you found, did you have to worry about whether that's live or?
Yeah, it was live. Yes, so the answer is yes. We got it rendered safe finally, but so now we're good. But yeah, when we first came up, it was just like digging one up metal detecting. It was intact, and so it needed to be rendered safe, which obviously I'm not an expert in or would do myself, but got that taken care of. So yeah, that's best though. If you're not experienced in that or know what to do, just call the police. We actually did find a grenade, a Mark, I forget what it was, a Mark 14, or I'm not a military guy, but a more recent chain fed grenade, military. And we called the bomb squad in for that. We called the police and they called the bomb squad and had that carted off. But there are things that could pose some danger. So obviously, if you're worried about it, call in the authorities.
Yeah, it looks like Jeff had posted on there a comment from my friend Big Poppy. He says, Clay, you need to go with Old Man River Bill here in Tampa. He found, I think he found the gun on his first day out.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. I'm always up for going. I don't get to get out as much sometimes as I'd like. So if anybody's passing through North Georgia and wants to go, just hit us up. We'll be happy to go out.
That'd be great. That would be great.
Yeah.
So have you found a lot of Civil War stuff, Clay?
That is the only Civil War item that I've personally found. There's a couple of local guys that do a lot of magnet fishing in the creeks around here that have found a lot more than I have. But they're a whole lot better at the research end of it than I am. But just that one thing. Now I do some metal detecting and obviously found the mini balls and buttons and other stuff that way. But magnet fishing, just the one shell.
Well, what detector are you using now?
So I use a Simplex, an AT Pro, and an MXT, depending on my mood.
Well, MXT, that one is a White's product, and that was an awesome detector. And
That was
I
I had
just,
an XLT for a long time and loved it, and then got the MXT and still love it.
yeah, I just hate that White's went out of business because they were an awesome company and made an awesome product.
So what really got you into magnet fishing, Clay? Obviously you were a treasure hunter with
Yeah. Well, it was my love of treasure hunting and finding things. Grew up that way as a kid, watching TV shows, and the Goonies was a big part of my childhood. So just looking for any kind of treasure, finding lost things, I had an interest in it. And then really it was my father told me about magnet fishing. He had done some in the 60s when he was or maybe it was I guess it was the early 60s. He had done a little bit of magnet fishing with old surplus magnet, and that got me thinking. At the time you didn't hear much about magnet fishing and there weren't companies focused on that. And so I borrowed a magnet of his and went out and used it, and it really wasn't what I thought would work very well and wasn't designed for what we were doing. And so my father's an engineer, and talked to him about it, and we started working up some designs and started having them made, and one thing led to another, and it was a true garage business, and then just grew from there. But it was really my love of treasure hunting, and then my father kind of igniting that spark with his story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a cool start. So it looks like our friend Tim Naylor's asking, what's your strangest find that you found magnet fishing?
That's a good question, and that's not one I've really thought of. I don't know. There's so much, unfortunately, so much trash down there. I mean, you name it, we've seen someone find it. It wasn't a find that I made personally, but somebody found a kitchen sink, an entire sink at the bottom of a lake. So, everything, including the kitchen sink, right? That was kind of an interesting one. There's all kinds of lawn chairs. It's insane the number of bicycles and scooters you end up in waterways. Those electric scooters that you see in a lot of the bigger cities, people unfortunately dump those. We've seen a lot of those come out of the water.
Shopping carts,
anything like that. And those are particularly hard to get with a magnet. Things like a bicycle that don't offer a real great hold. And that's where the grappling hook comes in. But I found one that was interesting, and I was surprised it actually came out. It was about a 20-foot section of rebar that kept pulling and pulling and pulling, and it just kept coming out. And I finally got it out. It was about a 20-foot section. And then if you pull it out, it becomes yours. That was a fun day trying to figure out that. But
Yeah, have to cut it up to get it home?
what's that?
Did you have to cut it up to get it home?
So that, fortunately, we did not. We had a truck with us, and I don't know how we made it work, but we made it work. But we did. That reminds me of another story. We pulled out a piece of railroad track, a Civil War era railroad track, kind of that narrow. And that was about I don't know what section, those are like a 12 or 15-foot section. We did have to cut that up to bring it out. And that stuff, I don't know what kind of steel they used, but, we had a huge construction like cutoff saw, and it took forever to cut through that steel. But now we have a neat section of railroad track that was Civil War era. Actually, that came right from the area where we found the parrot shell.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I got a comment here from Double G Diggs. That's my friend Gary. He said, I found a Nautica 7-foot umbrella that was dropped at a dock. It was practically new and it cleaned up nice. That's called
Nice.
recycling at its best.
That's
there.
right. It's surprising the number of things that come out of the water usable. You know, we've seen all kinds of sunglasses and, you know, all kinds of stuff that come out and clean up. You know, golf clubs, rods and reels that, you know, I guess haven't been down too long. They'll often come up looking pretty nice. We've seen people find things that they shine up and put to use.
That's awesome.
Well, I had a friend that lives up north, and he was out magnet fishing in a water hazard on a golf course, and he hooked onto something really big, and they went in, and it was a golf cart, and it still had the bag of golf clubs on the back of it. So either the guy was having a real bad day, got really ticked off, and just decided to chuck it all, or you know.
Wow.
He was intoxicated and drove it into the water hazard. I don't know.
That's crazy. You just never know.
Yeah. Hey, you know, we were talking about the scooters, those little electric scooters. Our city has those, and I'm sure they're found in the water here. But I guess it would be a good idea to get them out because they're all battery powered.
Yeah, all that lithium battery, absolutely.
Yeah, it's
We
bad.
actually worked with a guy that's what he did. He recovered these scooters. I guess unfortunately it was enough of a problem and enough were getting dumped that I forget the number he recovered in a summer, but it was like 20 or 30 scooters that he pulled out, you know, the water. But absolutely, that's the kind of thing you don't want in there and to corrode and degrade over time.
Right. With salt water, you know it's going to degrade for sure. And then we've got a comment from Luis Villarreal. My buddy and I pulled 2 scooters at a seawall downtown. So it must happen a lot.
Yeah. I've never used those. I always assumed that you use your credit card or something and they would know who lost it, but maybe not. I don't know how that works.
I don't know, but I see those and I just think to myself, I'm not getting on that because I'd probably kill myself for that. So, yeah, I imagine they need to get out of the water for sure.
That is for sure. I know people up north even magnet fish in the wintertime. If there's just a light skim of ice on there, I mean, just throwing your magnet out would bust through the ice.
Yeah, we've seen some really dedicated folk, you know, up in Canada and further north, you know, Minnesota, Wisconsin, in the winter get out, and they're serious about it. I mean, it's cold. We even saw one guy, I guess he was ice fishing. He decided to drop his magnet in, which obviously you're not going to cover much ground if you're just dropping it in a little hole. But, you know, if you're there and you got it, why not? So he tried it. But, yeah, you can do it year round if you're brave enough. Probably want some good waterproof gloves if you're going to do that.
I probably want something in a bottle to warm me up.
Yeah. You know, the gloves, it's good you have them in there because I can imagine all the sharp objects you're going to be pulling out with that magnet.
Yeah.
And it's
A lot of fish hooks, a lot of just broken off, you know, metal bits that you'll find that you really want to have some gloves with you. 100%. I mean, that's almost every time you go, you're going to find something sharp that you're not going to want to run your hand across.
right. So,
That's the great thing about your kit.
yeah,
Right.
that is a good thing about the kit. Got it all in there.
It's even got a nice carrying case, doesn't it, Phil?
It does. It's perfect. It's in the car perfectly, so or the truck perfectly. So the only thing you need to get along with this is a 5-gallon bucket. You know, you got to have that to throw your trash in and your good stuff too. So, and it looks like it's that time again, isn't it, Jeff?
This hour has flown by.
So, folks, I want to remind everybody: if you weren't the winner tonight, you can still get a magnet from the shop. Just give me a call tomorrow, and we'll get it going for you for Christmas, or make your treasure hunting friends real happy and buy one for them.
That's right. And if your kids are looking for something to do, that makes a perfect gift for underneath the tree, and you can get other things and put it in the stockings. Plus, you get, now this is the quill right here.
Oh yeah, you get a calendar.
Or a calendar. And I tell you what, I'm making a statement right now. Every order from Myers Metal Detectors gets a personally autographed from the guru his own self.
An autographed calendar and a hat too. I still
right.
have some hats left, so for limited time, they'll get a hat, so they won't get sunburnt when they're magnet fishing, and they'll know what day it is too, so they know what day they got to go back
right.
to.
That way they can mark down when they found that perfect thing.
Absolutely. So Clay, thank you for coming on here with us and talking about magnets. It's always good to do that and
Yeah,
update
absolutely.
the folks on the stream. And thank you, Jeff, and thank you, Jocelyn, for helping me. And we're going to get you an iPad so you can do it a little easier instead of looking at the phone. But we'll have that maybe next week.
Yeah, we'll have Jocelyn all fixed up. She'll be on the show. She won't be on camera because she refuses to do that. But she will be on and she'll be taken care of. We're going to turn all the questions over to her. So
Awesome.
that'll be good. That'll be good. So Clay, thanks so much for coming back on with us tonight. Everybody absolutely loved the show. And
Absolutely.
I think that the magnets are really going to start flying now at Christmas time. And I hope they do. You make a fantastic product.
Excellent.
And I think
Thank
that you answered everybody's questions.
Awesome.
If not,
Well-
they can just get to you, right on the Brute Magnets, or they can call Phil. So
Yeah, absolutely.
hopefully we'll have you again in a couple of months and
Anytime.
see what we're
Always,
doing with all the magnets.
always glad to talk magnets. So
All
anytime. Thank
It
you
was
guys.
fun. So everybody, thank you for watching. Remember, Thursday night on Treasure Tales at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Carter Pennington is going to be the guest on Treasure Tales. And then next week we have Jason the Quarter Hoarder is on Treasure Talk. So Phil, thank you, my brother. Jocelyn, thank you, my sister. And we'll get you all set up, and so you can become you can supervise Phil a little bit better.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So Clay, thanks again. Everybody, thanks for watching. Happy hunting and dig deeper.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Have fun, my friends. Dig deeper.